registration. One in person. We have one online, and we have one proxy. Anyone from Well? Yes, you're going to shoot only one. Wilmington? One. Yes, you. And then Wilton? Nobody from Wilton. No. Did anyone enter while we were expecting attendance? All right.
Recognition first-time guests. Anyone here for the first time? All right. If you want to stand and introduce yourself so we know who you are, welcome. Brad Thompson from Plainfield. Thank you. Welcome. You're here. Welcome. Thank you, gentlemen. Welcome. Welcome. Any brief announcements, any fundraisers, anything coming up that anyone should know about? Gretchen? Yeah. Gretchen.
So it's not a fundraiser, it's just for fun. On Monday night, at 6:30 p.m. is when the show starts. I'm doing a private showing of Terminator 2. It's on Hollywood Boulevard in Woodbridge, which is outside of Fifth Street. You just go right up 355 and everything. And it's $8 if you buy tickets in advance on Eventbrite. If you want to save $2, you can give me $6 tonight, but it will not. So, Terminator 2 on Monday night at 6:30 p.m. Do come before 6:30. The will start at 6:30. The reservation is like the cast Monday night. So get out. Oh, and so it's $6 for the movie, and then you have to buy it one day after that. You don't have to buy a lot.
Is that Rocky? Anyone grab that one over there?
Right here.
Most of you have probably heard of the Indiana group out of South County. You are not alone. They've had 4 meetings right now, and it's going pretty good. I was at their meeting Tuesday. I started a similar thing here in Will County, the second Tuesday of the month. Scooter's Roadhouse, Joe would love to do. Anybody wants to come, you're more than welcome. Get in there, maybe have somebody speak a little bit, but mainly just gather, just talk among ourselves and come up with some ideas. Just look each other up, really. It's pretty depressing what's going on in the country. So anybody who wants to come to that, you're more than welcome. I'll put it on Facebook next week. I'll just start. But we had the one meeting, so we have a second one. We'll see how it goes. I hope to see you on the
Second Tuesday ever?
second.
At 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Thanks, Rocky. We have one here. Yes, Ben. Yeah. Turn it on.
All right, just on behalf of Tom McCullough, who is going to be running for state senator. Yeah. On Saturday, June 26th, he's going to be having his Buffalo Range Street Park fundraiser, and that will be from 4 to 8 p.m. Did they cancel?
He postponed it to September.
Oh.
I'll check, but
No, it is postponed.
Yeah.
It is on here. That's really problematic because I just picked one the same place in first.
Yeah, no, he postponed it.
Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah, he postponed it because it conflicted with 2 or 3 governor's things. I have one more.
Okay.
Try to do brother a favor.
Alrighty, so we have an announcement from the Riley campaign, Riley for Sheriff.
He is having a fundraiser for law enforcement appreciation fundraiser. It is free to first responders and his guests. It's on 7/31/20, so this will be July 31st, 2020. The location, 2021, I'm sorry. The location is the Riverhawk Brewery. That is 24735 West Ames.
It's basically Route 6.
Yes, Route 6 in Shanahan. It goes from 2 to 5 p.m. Again, that's for Jim Riley. Feel free to reach out to his campaign if you guys want any additional information.
What are you finding about Roadkill?
Oh, it's right there. I mean, go on, keep going.
July 31st.
Well, alright. There are two more, but one more definitely. I'm going to let that young man speak about it because he's the first time here. I'm going to give him 5 minutes to talk to the crowd real quick. Rob Cruz.
Well, that was awesome, George.
I have a fundraiser on June 23rd, next Wednesday, in Chicago. It's on 103rd in California. If anyone's ever been over there, it's called Wcrcc. So please come out. It's the same concept I had at my other fundraiser. It's not a ticketed price. It's whatever you feel comfortable with. Hopefully, inspiring you to, come out of pocket a little bit more of that than you did last.
Yeah, you put first time business, so.
I've got a first time because I've been on the Zoom a few times and I've seen a lot of food up. And I don't want to stand up here for too long because I don't know if I'll get a chance to talk again or not. I'm running for Senate, U.S. Senate. I think a lot of you have heard me speak here before already. So I'll give you the quick notes for those who haven't. Grew up over here on the east side of Joliet. Dad's a military veteran, Marine Corps. Mom grew up in a family where everybody was adopted. Growing up in Joliet, gangs, drugs, I lived through it. Cops were there, basically to make sure that we got through it. So it's my turn to take care of them. Went to Providence Catholic down school, down the road here. Had a lot of football games. I know I don't look like that, but I am a quarterback. It's funny thing, everybody can do that. But it's what I learned how to win. And I met George, Frank. So, I feel like there's enough people here that are ready to win, right? And what that means is that now we've got to kind of put the winning first, right? We was talking about America first. Now maybe it's time to put winning first. It's usually means you got to check yourself a little bit, right? You got to listen more than you talk. You got to do more than you say, right? So I have a question, right? I'd love to hear from everybody afterwards. What are some of your ideas that you think could work and win? Because moving a Senate candidate, that's great. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If I won by 20 points and everybody else lost, I would not be happy. If I lost by 50 points and everyone else won, I would extremely happy. Because it's a team game. You don't win these things by yourself. It is a team game. Which is why Tom Brady's always in the Super Bowl. It's because he takes less money so he can have better teams. So I would love to hear everybody's question at the end of the time. What do you think would work? I would love to hear all of it and sit down and put it together and see how we can make it a reality. It's just practicing this summer. It's to test our ideas. Whether or not, whatever kind of idea you have, it's a test so that when it's game time, there are no, let's try this. It's that didn't work, that works, let's do it.
Cruiser, who are you going to unseat when you win?
I'm going up against Tammy Duckworth.
Yeah!
I'm learning a lot about her, especially for some of my friends that have gone to high-levels military. I haven't even told George this stuff, but I know a lot of stuff about her. I learned it today, actually. So, but here's what I do know, and everybody knows. She co-sponsored the defund of the police, take away qualified immunity. That was right. So, just have to answer that. The first guy in the primary, and I'll leave you with this. I grew up up. My sister lives here. My parents live here. I spent just as much time as I do here I do, this is my home. And I would like to see this group be the unit that turns the tide for the whole state. When they go back and say, how did that happen? I want them to say, Will County started. That's what I like.
Thank you, John. Alright. If you have not heard about this yet, you should. This is our annual fundraiser that's typically held in February, but because we were still on lockdown, we are now doing it here in June. Next week, next Friday, June 25th, we have Sheriff Clark coming out as a keynote. We've got, now I've met with Justice Mike Burke from the Illinois Supreme Court. He's attending, and I'm going to give him 5 minutes because they have redistricted the court maps as well. And they believe that they've actually outdrawn Republicans here in the 3rd District. But they were actually planning on some bad numbers. So we're actually pretty enthused about not just picking up the 3rd District, our district, which is now Will, DuPage, LaSalle, Livingston, and a few other state counties going out west. And then they moved some of like Kendall, Kane, and some of the all the way up to Lake County, McHenry. They moved that into the 2nd District. The problem is they don't know about McHenry. That is truly a Republican hotspot up there. Kendall and Kane have been on a rise. So we have an opportunity to pick up 2 seats for this court. Yeah. And we'll have a 4 to 3 Republican majority on the Illinois Supreme Court. Guess what that changes? Everything. Yeah. This election cycle is huge. So when we're doing fundraisers like this, it's not just for our PCs to get them involved. It is for our neighbors. It is for our friends, our family members to come out and hear the folks that are actually on the front line, that are fighting in these positions, and they're looking for backup. Get them out to this event. We're up to about 270 right now. The venue will hold 350. I would love to be able to turn people away. We can do this. There was 150,000 Republican votes in this last cycle. Surely we can fill the spot. We're offering a discount, of course, for the townships, $80. If the folks are coming through your township, if they're just buying tickets online, it's $100. So they don't have to be precinct committeemen. They're Republican voters in your township. Get them to a table. It's $80. Get the reduced price so that we can get them in and get them encouraged and get them involved. Questions? Comments?
I don't have a picture.
Add it as a raffle item, and you can buy your tickets online or here today, $20 for a 6-hour, which one is it? 365. 9mm, double stack, with two extra magazines, 1 or 3 all total, and a holster. I've already told them they gotta actually give me a left-hand holster. So $20 a ticket.
You can purchase tickets tonight, right here with Judy. You take less. Yep. You take credit? Debit?
Questions? Yes, sir. Sure, come on up. Just a little bit.
And this is something that we have put together. We are getting together, Will County Republicans, with Betsy Hill and Sysmont Ministries. We're doing a rally downtown at ISD E 100 in Chicago. So we're going to be talking about critical race theory, huge sex education that's coming down, masks, there's a little bit of something for everybody. So if anybody is around and wants to come out, it is June 27th, Monday after this month.
Where is it at?
It's downtown.
Education building. I'm sorry, the Illinois School
State Board of
State
Education.
Board of Education building. Yes, sir. Come on. Speak up if you want to speak from there. Come on up.
Well, good afternoon, evening, everyone. Christian Kovac, More Strategies. One of our affiliated groups, Next Gen for Illinois, is doing a cannabis development workshop on June the 27th at the Naperville at the Mall of India. It's from 12 to 4:30. It's $25 for any prospective cannabis development from the office. If you have any more detail, want to know any more details, come up and talk to me. Maybe you can get any information or sign up at nextgenillinois.com/workshop.
Any more announcements? All right, moving right along. Andy, about ready? Ladies and gentlemen, I brought in Illinois Opportunity Project. Most folks will probably remember them when they were actually first started off with the Illinois Institute, right? What was it? It was a handful of groups. Yeah. So he's going to give us a presentation about the mapping and some of the data information that is actually will be made available to us. If anyone has ever used I-360, if you worked on the campaign, I-360, they actually now own the rights to and have been willing to offer that up to our precinct committeemen because we know GOP data has been lacking with a lot of good information. I'll let Andy Barker, take over at this point. Yep. You're here in front of us.
There we go, okay. Yep, just keep these clipboards moving, I would sure appreciate it. My name's Andy Barker, said, coming in here for the Illinois Opportunity Project. So I'll tell you what, I'm really excited. And one of the things that George said that I think is really important is that we've got a great opportunity. And that opportunity is there in the report. I'll tell you what, it's a great opportunity to pick up the governor too. Because his position is way overstated. We came off a great year where I think a lot of guys who've been around for a while, there has been nothing like this graduated income tax fight that had everybody on the same page, everybody on the same message, everybody moving in the same direction. That was a huge win. Couple that with the environment that we faced, we picked up a seat in the state house. Now we've got a movement that is ready to go earlier, bigger, right now, in June of the off. So that's pretty cool. Good to see a lot of familiar faces, which is fun. I'm going to keep it pretty short, and I just want to talk about how we can help you, as well as a little bit deeper on what that opportunity is. Certainly plenty of times we were just in Page County, Page Township, not that long ago, talking about volunteer recruitment. Would love to have more meetings and busy goals committees and training, stuff like that. Let's jump right in. For those of you who don't know, Illinois Opportunity Project has been around since 2012. We're a 501c4, which means we produce policy advocacy. As you all know, we're not going to get anywhere in that policy front unless we change the people who are right? So we support Republican candidates, especially in the state house and state senate. Also statewide this year. Our mission is pretty simple. We're a free market organization. We want Illinois to be #1 destination for job growth with household incomes rising. And so we're going to get there and change the state. Here we go. So last year, some of y'all who know IOP's history. It's a pretty big deal that we were working together with the House Republican organization. That wasn't always the case. Provided strategic communication, consulting to candidates all across the state. Had a team of 30 people and about 25 targeted house races again. Won and picked up a seat. Pretty cool. The other thing that we did was make a concerted effort to shift into field operations. With Mike Madigan and now with J.B. Pritzer on the ballot this year, we're not going to compete in money. We compete with people. We compete with knocking doors over and over and over. So that's where I came in. I've worked campaigns, I'm a party guy. I was the state party in Missouri with Josh Hawley, state party in Texas and Virginia. Got some big wins in there. Obviously, excited to bring what we do here to Illinois. So this year we're going to continue building off of what we had with the HRO. Take a real hard look at the state senate. We were talking earlier about state senate opportunities that we got here in Will County, which is pretty darn cool. And then playing statewide, obviously, and with the Supreme Court. So let's talk about that landscape. Number one, again, big, huge win. Something to build off of. The majority of voters in Illinois agree with our policy vision, right? Here. So not only did we pick up a seat, but you can see from some of these, look at that spending differential, right? St. Louis, Central DuPage, outspent by $2 million. Just down the road in Plainfield, Mark Batting, over $1 million he's outspent. The way that we run those races, that we got those spends, that we got those pickups, by not doing it. Making phone calls, partnering with local organizations, all the way, of all sizes, just to really do something cool. So, that was a big piece of our strategy, not only partnering with the offices everywhere we were, but townships, counties, places like Madison County in the Metro East, Wheeling and Palatine in Northwest Dakota, Lyle. These are great things that we want to expand upon and bring us. Looking forward to doing that with them. Governor Pritzker's position is overstated. You never know it, right? If you're reading the Tribune or anything like that. Think about two numbers, right? So we got 612,000, 681,000. Keep those in mind. But before we do that, this is approval ratings. This is from a not friendly poll, by the way. This is from a teacher review. So they're in the tank for Governor Pritzker, right? Look at that. Okay, so the orange is the good guys, the blue is the bad guys. Right now, as of February, Governor Pritzker is underwater. He's got a 41% unfavorable rate. Only 40.6 unfavorable. Never know that, right? If you're reading the media. We have an incredible opportunity here in Illinois to pick up the city government. Okay, back to those numbers. Number one, 612,500 people who voted against the tax, not President Trump. Right? So those are people that we can convince because they agree with our policy vision. Right? Take that. Other side of the same coin. 681,000 people voted for President Trump, but not for Rauner. Right? And so we all have ideas for both of those groups of people why that might be. But the fact of the matter is, we need to get everybody to turn out. We need to get people in the suburbs. We need to get people downstate to turn out. The way that we're going to do that, local, building out grassroots organizations to talk to people. Nothing that I can say coming from Chicago is going to hit as hard as when somebody down the street who drives past that same pothole, his kids go to the same school, go to the same church every weekend. That's where the message. Right? So these are the two groups of people that big opportunities here. Here's Will County numbers. Just so you can see, in 2020, we had 155,000 people vote for President Trump. That's 47,000 more than voted for Rauner. Also, graduated income tax is at 196. Again, President Trump is at 155, 41,000. That's a big opportunity in Will County. You're going to get out and talk. So why does voter contact matter? Again, that's where we're focused, is on field work, it's on the ground game, and not indoors and making a phone call. Well, for one thing, again, keep coming back to this graduated income tax. This is the campaign manager, Quentin Fultz. Guess what? Also the campaign manager for Governor Pritzker. Shocker, I know. You know why he says, when they asked him why they lost? Because they weren't having door-to-door conversations. They were trying to get it done with mail and with telephone, right? We were out there knocking doors. You can see it in the data, right? It's not just Quentin Fultz saying this. So we read state level. And there's a number to come back to, old political hands will see this all the time. Someone is 6% more likely to come out and vote for our candidates when we knock on their door. And that's exponential, yes. So, gotta keep knocking. It takes about 7 or 8 contacts for somebody to vote for our candidate. One of the ways we do this, again, like George mentioned, we have an app that we can offer you. It'll look a lot the same. Some of you all have used Wcrcc in the past. You've used Red Dialer or Vantage or any number of these things. They're all pretty similar. Right now, we have our volunteers calling against the budget, making sure that voters know how ridiculous it is that we have record revenue and a federal bailout, and still there's no property tax relief for working families in Illinois. Right? So we're beginning to identify voters already now. We have this for y'all if y'all want to do advocacy work, or you're trying to recruit precinct committeemen, or you're doing turnout for your fundraiser or anything. Happy to offer that to you. Your app, again, very similar. Looks like a lot like anything. So cool. Here's our approach. The way the voter contact works, it's a hockey stick that we're going to ride up. It's exponential as people begin to pay more attention to the election as we get closer. Obviously, that's next summer. We're all the way over here by that fish on the board. So it's starting slow, but it's a long process. It's something that we build and continue building. One thing that sets us apart and that we really focus on, that I talk a lot about with the train, with our staff, with our volunteers, and everyone. The way that we keep that hockey stick building for that long amount of time is by focusing on relationships, by talking to people, by connecting with people. Everybody's got a different perspective and a different set of skills. We want to make sure that we're using them. It's not paying every college kid in the state $10 an hour to knock doors, right? That doesn't get it done. We also don't have the money to do that. And the message isn't as good, right? When neighbors, people who are showing up because every single day it's their friends, people they trust, people on their team who they volunteer with every week. And this is, just a demonstration of that. That old model might have been, one kid calling every single volunteer in this room, hey, you're going to knock doors for me, hey, you're going to knock doors for me, hey, you're going to knock doors for me. We really focus on delegating responsibility. Also allows us to get to a bigger production. It's like multi-level marketing, right? We get people in every single neighborhood. We can build these things out even quicker. Real quick, when we think about volunteers, why might volunteers leave? Well, if they're not having fun, for one thing. If they're not being challenged, we want to give people opportunities to do things that are interesting, that make them feel like their time is worthwhile and being valued. And we're not saying thank you enough. I mean, that's one thing that comes up again and again. So why will volunteers stay? Well, because we have a community, right? Because we're building relationships with everybody in this group. They feel appreciated. They've taken on the ownership and responsibility for the program that we're building. They're having fun, and by the way, we're calling them and asking them to come to the next one all the time. Here's the fun stuff. Here's things that we can offer to you right now. Every single township, every single county. For one thing, precinct analysis, if y'all want to know what in your precinct the graduated income tax did versus Trump versus Browner, we can pull those numbers, tell you where the registered voters are. We can get you voter lists. That's super easy. As is volunteer list. You need a place to start. We have been doing this for some time. We know some people we can go to at the very least. I'm happy to share that with you. Again, data, voter targeting. We can issue the WCrcc and the phone app. We train people on how to use this and how to do all of these things, how to build these organizations. Like I said, we were just in Page Township not that long ago. Happy to come to your township, train on whatever y'all like. Here's a couple of examples. We train people how to use the app. How do we actually talk to voters at the door or on the phone? How do we, create the walkbooks? How do we recruit enough volunteers and build these things? So, this my contact information. If y'all are on the clipboards here, I don't know where they went to. I will send you these slides. My contacts will be in there too. Pretty exciting time, you guys. I do this for a few reasons, but mostly because of my family. And so, some of y'all who have, we met before, might have heard this, forgive me, but my dad's family, they came to Ellis Island from the Netherlands. His mom, they fled Mexico after the revolution to work in the mines in Colorado. My mom's family, they were poor in like Big Stone Gap, Tennessee, and I was still West young man and built a new life for themselves in the plains. They made a better life for me. Back then, if you played by the rules and worked hard, you can do that. But that can be lost so easily. I know in Illinois we have a big problem with families getting broken up and having to flee, right? Kids go to college, they have to come back. So we've got an opportunity to change the state this year. Looking forward to being a part of it with you. This is my contact information. I'll take a few questions. Yeah, it's exciting.
And where do you live in Chicago?
I live in Lakeview.
North side?
Yeah.
Okay.
He asked you,
Yeah.
you ever come out?
Yeah. So it's usually me and right now our president Mark Havers on the road today. He was in Metro East doing some candidate recruitment. I think he's in Peoria now, but the two of us. Yeah.
My question is, let's say we're down on the high.
Yeah.
When things start getting more like older season, you go back to people you've already knocked on the door because short-term memory, and I think that does a lot.
Yeah. So, it depends on the race. Obviously, it's all kinds of different things, but the general way that field program will work is I work for a very long time. We figure out who are people who think are Republicans or Democrats. Ask them, hey, you're going to vote for David Pritzker or the Republican. Probably spend a little bit of time on persuasion. There's people in the middle and deliver them a message that says, hey, you agree with us on these issues. You agree with us on police, schools, whatever it is. Try and move over a little bit. And then we go back to those people that we've identified and then get out of the kind of the way.
You said it was for free?
Yes.
And the phone is for free too, for the phone list?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm running into a problem with GOP data center and the accuracy. It's about 80%. Yours is better than that.
I think they're better than that. It's a challenge with the phones because people phone numbers more often and not answering. But it's fine. I like accuracy better than data center. And it's nice to have the predicate data. Yeah. Sure. It's a good question. I'm not sure. And that actually might have changed after the pandemic too. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I have to get back to you on that one. I will tell you, after the pandemic, right now, our contact rates are up, which is interesting, on phones and on doors. We haven't done doors. So we have other data points we can kind of triangulate. Sometimes else we'll show some numbers that people agree with us on things like really coming over to our side on schools, right? The critical race theory and the sex education and the crazy stuff they're teaching. It's the masks, it's the shutdowns. So there are potential explanations. Not that level. Y'all, thank you. I'm excited, ready to go. See y'all next Friday. Have a great one.
A breath of fresh air.
You are exactly You got me a kid. Originally, we thought about buying data and getting other folks out. Getting folks out.
This is what I guessed.
Data change, all never change, email change on a regular basis. I have 7 email addresses.
Read that.
And it's ridiculous. I can't wait to shut down at least 2 of them. But it changes. So the door-to-door does become important. But you also have to have a good, willing force about there and move forward. And actually have the right questions to ask at the time too. So Andy and Mark Favors will be available to come individually into the townships. We will schedule whatever invite Wcrcc through the central committee. So we have smaller groups that want to do it and we'll find otherwise, like Bartlett Township, I want to be able to go with letting that's my money. Yes, sir. The biggest issue with dealing with data is it's controlled by the mines, the national market.
Yeah.
And they don't see Illinois as we're not viable to them in the election cycle. So they take their time about how they have information taken over and who they assign and how much money is spent on things. That's why I've always been pushing in our own data system and have not control of our data and being able to update it when you're actually engaging with voters out there. It's very important that we engage them. Even if that email changes, how do you know if we're not speaking to them? We're inviting them out to fundraise where they can actually get engaged, get inspired, actually involved. That's high level. Other parts is, the user agreement that you have to sign. It is a must by the state park. But they only have one guy for the entire state now that's working on the entire system. Again, I know this is one of the things that Rich, he gave us a presentation for the executive committee. Once we, have a discussion amongst the township chairs, we decide on how we want to proceed. But some of that we were talking about. And again, it's important about getting this information out, to our VCs in order to have the right conversation with folks and meet them where they are. Whether it's on one of the social media platforms, at a group, or the game. There are a lot of different areas that we're missing, because most of us are not involved, but we work, 12, 14-hour days. We jump onto social media sometimes in the challenge. I've got a Twitter page, I used to, originally when I got started, about 6 tweets a day. We'd love to get one out of it. It's just that good between emails and phone calls. I was on the phone for an hour and a half a day for a film. Just listening to him explain about how bad we are. When he stopped, I asked him one question. How involved are you? He's never knocked the door. He's never made a phone call. He's never worked for a candidate. But he's interested now because of the maps, because of the attempt to issue the tax on. But it's important that if we're not in close contact, it won't happen. And we won't change the mind. I like the fact that what they did through the tax amendment, they went after a lot of the Republicans. They did so much talk to the Democrats. I know that's a big thing for us. We wanted to also talk to the Democrats. What happens is, there is a ratio. If you knock on the Democrats' door, say the ratio is 100, stop wasting our time with them. There are so many independents who refuse to name one side or the other that we can have conversations with about the mass communities, about sex education. And by the way, we'll get into that. Because if your education, if your school board changes what they title the curriculum, it'll make a difference of whether or not if you have to accept the mandate or not. So if it's sex education, you have to do the mandate. If it's health class, you do not. There are little different nuances in there. We got some folks that were lined up to teach on all of this. So that when we're having these conversations with folks, you can speak diligently on it. Because the fact that they're teaching them eighth through third grade, the importance of hormones and masturbation is ridiculous. Sixth grade, they're telling you that you can wait to change your identity. You don't have to identify with one side or the other, and there's ways to change. And we already know about the universal plans. Yes, Marie. No. Yes. Sure.
There's a mic on there. I'm on the school board. I'm in the Oakland. I'm on the Oakland boards. Questions? Sorry. You hear me now? Yeah. There you go. So these questions come up, right, about sex education. Right? There's another thing to do, is if you're telling your school board members that you're not going to teach sex education, you're going to teach health. You don't have to teach any of this stuff. And so, I came to the school board meeting and said, we're teaching health, right? And the answer, of course, is yes. Because this stuff is disgusting, like George talked about. There are tons of opt-out clauses for a lot of that. Most of it's actually based on religion, as opposed to just because you don't like it. That's not a, being honest, that's not going to work. It's a religious thing. So, I think we can go to school board members, and I think we need to go say. And then we had a guy come in yesterday, stood up, said he lived next to Auschwitz in Russia, and watched how things had deteriorated. And he looked superintendent in the eye and said, "You sound like a guy like my dad was talking." And the whole room was like, "Oh." And I said, "It was my turn to talk." I said, "Hey, look, this guy's right. Right? You know, what he wanted to know is, what are we doing in the school year about masks, vaccinations, quarantining, and all of that stuff?" And you guys probably read about that bill where they kind of step in to show us how we were going to open up our school. I think it was 89, right? 89, 20. Was we're going to open up schools, private and public together. School, when we wrote a letter, you're not opening our school. You know, blah, 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 blah. So they shot it down, but now they're waiting for guidance to come back. So he came and said, what are you doing to do this? So we got our school board stepped up, and I'm very proud, because I was, pleasantly surprised that we actually have a conservative school board in Cook County. That's how we're Oklahoma. It's still Cook County. And we wrote a letter, right? We wrote a letter that said to the parents, and I would go and ask other school boards and say, we plan on opening up fully. We're waiting to hear back from the state about masks. We need to know what you're thinking. Don't show up the day before school and say, what are you doing? Because I said that's what they're going to do. Right? So we sent out a letter. We're sending out a letter next week. So I would recommend everybody blast, email your school board people. I had 27 emails from the school board meeting in the middle of the summer about this thing. And we're not even, we're probably on the good end compared to places like Plainfield, Naperville, and even out here lately. Bad. So when we see it, when we get the reports from the school board. So go out there, talk only bases around religion. And I don't know what you're going to say about that. So that's just a piece of advice.
Contacted them and actually wanted to work very well. Guess what?
We never even agree.
So that's like the next thing.
Yeah.
If you're not vaccinated,
Thank you. That's important. Thank you, Dale. Can we hold it down, people? Ladies and gentlemen.
Show up to schoolwork. That is a leader. I'm with it. You're going to be prepared. So naturally, very bad people around. Well, we were probably 4-1.
Outstanding.
And we trust them, but don't be intimidating them. Anyway, the numbers and January 11th. You have to leave. It's a pretty
Okay.
So, the other day I was driving through one of the shopping centers in Minooka and never noticed this because it's tucked back in a corner in a shopping center right on the main street in Minooka. It is the Illinois Education Association office. They have about 4 storefronts, and it is right here in Minooka that if, you want to try and find out about them, but it is the Illinois Education Association, part of the National Education Association. It is a big office right down the street. So that is a great place for us to, that's what I was going to talk to you about. Yes, pardon me? Yes, yes. That's right. So, we can do rallies, we can do sign carrying, whatever, but we have to speak to our kids.
One last, because we're getting
Kelly,
long.
yep.
Yes, Colin.
Here, Kelly. What? You got something good to say?
When we all attended the school board meeting, our school board only allowed 20 minutes of the
What's your school board?
comment. 202. So what was suggested to us, for those of us that did have the 2 minutes to speak, we turned to the audience and we said, after we made our statement, we turned to the parents and the taxpayers that were there and we said, how many of you agree with my statement? Please stand up and let your voice be heard. Not everybody can talk. And that gave the school board a little bit of notice that most of the people in the audience were agreeing with the statements that we made. And it lets your voice be heard even if you can't get up and talk, at least you get acknowledged.
Good point. We do have a legislative board update. As Julie Ogalla, County Board District 1. County Board of Yeah. Well, speaking of that,
County board is always boring, easy,
Commissioner Johnson.
The enforcement committee is going on. And with that, this past, Tuesday, we sat down and looked at the maps. And we prior to that, Don Gould, who's on the county board, is from, I think.
What's he do?
What does he do? He's an attorney. He's an attorney. He's an attorney. And what he did was, he had a friend who found out that maps that they were showing us, Democrats were choosing, which was 15-1, 17-1, 19-1, 21-1, were illegal. Because to do that, to go from multi-district representation to single, they have to ask, you have to go to your voters and ask for a referendum, which they didn't. The Democrats just about died at that meeting, where they're like, you drove God on us. How could you do this at the last minute? It's like, okay, it's on you. If you wanted to change that, you should have done the homework to determine if you could. Not only did the county board do that, the county executive also did that. She had a 21-1 map. So she can't do that. So at this last meeting, Chris Warren, who's our leader, put down a motion to go ahead and move forward with the 13-2 map. We run 13-2 map, which is what we have right now, because it gives the Republicans the best opportunity to influence Republicans on the board, right? So, the motion, we got a second, we had about an hour-long fight about it, and then we called vote. And so all the Republicans voted for it, and then we had a Democrat crossover. So they just about died. They got So what I want to do is I want to forward to George, with us, the link to our executive, our review portion, and then also to the Democrat caucus meeting, because you guys have to hear what you're saying. So at the reinforcement committee this morning, Lena Counter, who is the speaker, she is a Democrat from Naperville. She got on there and she said that Republicans have been disingenuous. We've shut down the conversation. Now, mind you, the chair of the committee is Democrat. Can't shut down any conversation. He allowed it. We shut down the conversation. We wouldn't even allow anyone to look at the maps. And we took advantage of the situation when one of their board members, one of their caucus members, was left the meeting. She was on vacation. She decided not to stay the whole meeting. We called for a vote. And that's only eliminated we eliminated all those maps. She was upset. Now, wait a minute. If somebody on our side walked out, that's what you're going to do. You're going to take advantage of what you can. So they're quite upset, and she talked about really bad about us and slamming us and we're like, whatever, this is your problem. Yeah, this is your problem. And she got so crazy. She knows this guy. He's from Frankfurt. He knows she knows him. Speaking of years, he got angry with her. He said, you know what you are? You're showing your true colors. You're a liberal. That's what you are. So sure enough, Mimi goes crazy. She goes, you're right. I am a liberal. And I'm proud of it. And so this is all on this link, and it's with you guys. And it's very entertaining, so we're going to email it to Judy or both of them. You guys got to listen to that, listen to Democrat Caucus. This is what we're up against every single month of this crazy over. And it's mostly the women, and like Raquel said, she's coming around there sleeping, which is good. She said, the interesting thing she said is that the county board meeting, which was today, actually, at the time I was at home, but still at home, I'm at home. So, she said, she talked about Juneteenth, and they talked about Pride Month and everything like that. And, the interesting thing that Raquel said was, none of the black Democrats mentioned anything about Juneteenth. So it's really interesting that it's progressive women that are pushing this agenda, and that's what we have to fight against, the progressive women. Hate to say it, but the women are out of their minds. The women who sit home every day and nails on, have makeup on, and look gorgeous every day, they just sit there and think, oh, I feel so sorry for everybody else. So they just go off the deep end. Did you want to go?
The person I was weird, so that's all they have to do. And she was talking about it, and it's like, and also, I feel like, always, to show my allyship, to always, because then she mentioned community, and
did that, I got to hear it. Oh, you were there today? Okay. So one thing that we really need you guys to do, because we're out there fighting all the time, is we need you guys to put in comments on things, because they have their little people that come and show up and talk and tell us how bad we are, especially white men. Very bad. Very bad. Those two white men are very bad. We don't like any of you actually, and you all laugh at me. Perfect. And so we need you guys to do that. We need public comment emailed in on issues that come before the board. I know that I was talking with Sue, and she put in a comment about what type of board district you support. We need to do that kind of stuff. So we need you guys to help us. We're out there fighting. It's a lot of hard work, and really got to stick your neck out. And I know that it's really hard because not everybody likes to stand up against them and say what you got to say. But myself and others are doing the same thing, and continue to do that. Get your support. I was hoping to send critical things to you guys and say, hey, I need people to respond back via email or come to the committees. And I know it's during the day, it's really hard. Some people are retired. You have the opportunity to do that. We need your support because they're out there, the same group of women, and crime is really, really hard. That was basically the big thing with the county board was the winning on the 13th map. So we'll see how we go from there, and thank you. Denise Winfrey. So I'll tell you why Denise Winfrey crossed over. Denise Winfrey is currently the second NPA. So that's National Association of County Organizations. She's going to NACO ever since she joined the board. And it's a great organization. You go at conference twice a year, 6 seminars, you learn a lot of things. And she's worked really hard. She got to be second NPA last year. She started second NPA for 1 year. Then this year she'll become first NPA. So the first NPA for 1 year, then the president. So we're going to try and convince them on the other side, all the way from the world, to support 13-2. They need Denise to win her district. If Denise loses her district, she's not going to be the first NPA. She'll be the president because she will lose that opportunity. And having the opportunity to have her be president of NACO, she's the first African-American woman in Illinois who ever hold that seat, and we believe in the United States. That's a pretty key thing, and a lot of those opportunities, NACO conferences, things, I'm from the County, which is a big honor to have. So we're hoping to do that and make those conversations. I think we've had enough votes from the conversations I've had with certain people. I never know people that will change their mind, tell me yes, and they go opposite. So I'm working on that. Thank you.
All right, moving right along. I will accept, so I emailed out the treasurer's report.
There are a few floating around the room as well. Got a question. I don't understand this back page. Are you saying we have 11,044, or are you saying we got 10,876? And I understand the PayPal one, or is it a combination of the two?
So the difference in that, on the checkbook is what's actually been actually counted, but what's actually sitting in the bank minus what's on the other side. If you notice, there's a comment that there's an item that has. Yes.
Yeah.
So
Our checks that haven't cleared.
So, all right, so we're somewhere in the $11,000 range, plus $863 in the PayPal.
either in the 11,000. So we're roughly around 11,000. But again, that was May.
Right.
You know, this is June. We had some expenses, and again, money coming in for the fundraiser already. So.
All right, I understand.
Any other questions about the treasury report? Please ask. With that, I will accept the motion to fix Wilmington with the motion, second by Kyle from DuPage fans. All in favor? Aye. Any opposition? So I gotta give everybody a chance online. No comments? Any abstentions? Alright, treasury report passes. 0. accepted. These are the minutes from last month's meeting as well. Again, they're also on the table and emailed out to all precinct committee people. If no one saw anything incorrect or want to change, I will accept the motion to accept the minutes from the May 2021 meeting. So moved by Judy Ogalla, second by Tom Hendricks. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposition? Abstention? Alright, minutes has passed. Map and redistricting, we kind of covered it. I will be sending out a new link on what is being accepted. What's beautiful is that they are being challenged by both the Illinois Hispanic Coalition, Mexican American Legal and Education Fund challenges. The NAACP is challenging the new maps. So there are a lot of Latinos and blacks that are saying that maps are garbage and it doesn't represent. So once again, we have some folks out there that we can speak to specifically about issues, just like we did with getting rid of Kilbright and the tax amendment, and win some elections this round. Everybody is aware that we now, our primaries got pushed until June 28th, correct? So when are we here? 2020. Right. June 28th, 2022. Typically, our primaries would be held in March of 2022, but they moved it down to June 28th, 2022. Guess when we're collecting signatures? January 13th to be exact. January 13th. What's going on in Chicago with January 13th?
Nice.
If you don't think it's important to start making these contacts now, so that you can send them, email them a petition that they can have notarized for themselves in the comfort of their own home, then we're not paying attention. We're also going to bring back what we did the last time, the voter appreciations. We held 4 the last go round, and they were very successful. Anywhere between 150 was the lowest one over on the Peatone side, to 300 folks that showed up between Plainfield and this location out here. Actually, the first time I had the opportunity to meet Frankie in person. And now look at him. County board member. These voter appreciations, we find our diamonds in the rough, our nuggets of gold, and get them involved.
And that's another reason why this fundraiser is so important, because that's the money we use to do those voter appreciation dinners. So we're looking ahead into the future so that we can fund those, so that we can get our people out, that we can do that. So please help us with that.
Talk about this one, right?
Yes.
Right.
Can I speak something real quick?
Sure.
There's a lot of people here that are not from Philly yet. I'm Jan the Horse. I work for the Philadelphia Police Department. And if you happen to know, for all you people that go, yeah, come on down. Buy your ticket. Come on down. I happen to know that BPD is going to have extra patrols, not only around Renaissance Center, but around all the parking lots around there. And then if somebody stops you and wants to give you a ticket, tell them you don't beat them, okay?
It is such, and it's free parking. On the street, the couple of parking lots that are around there, it's a beautiful facility. How many people actually attended the last one?
Well, I've been to that.
It is a beautiful location. And they're Republicans that's running the Renaissance side. Now, of course, it's attached to JJC. That's a whole other conversation. But it's great. It's prime rib. And I'm actually going to make a change because I had a few people saying, we don't want no more chicken. So I'm going to change the second one to salmon. Okay? So you have the option between carved and roast, prime rib, or salmon. Salmon. hands. How many folks would like to have a fish option versus just a, okay. Yeah, mistake. Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right.
Actually, both.
Yeah, the prime rib and the salmon. All right. So is that okay that I changed the menu, the chicken as a secondary?
So moved. Salmon's fine, if they want chicken, they can block out the chicken and spice.
Good point.
They are
Great.
ready to chicken and spice.
All right. Yes, sir.
This event for GBC, or is it like separate?
So it's the Renaissance Center side, it's actually one building, but the Renaissance Center side, it's upstairs and the western part of the building that's on Ottawa. So JGC enters in on Jefferson, right? The school, what is that? Chicago, thank you. Chicago Street. That's their entrance. On the other side, the Ottawa side, that's the entrance way for the Renaissance Center.
Okay.
Ottawa, yeah. Okay. 214. Right. Any more questions about the event? Friends, family, get them out to it, okay? Tim Hendricks about the car show. Did you did that last time?
Let me, I have extra copies of these for the event. If any township chairs would like a few, to take to your meeting, you're gonna meet before, come see me.
Remember, this June election, every single precinct commitment is up for re-election for the primary. Every single precinct commitment is up for re-election. Therefore, there'll be a convention held after they certify the election to allow more mail-in ballots to come in and try to cheat us. After that certification, we hold our county convention. The county convention is where all the precinct committee people come together and vote for the new chairperson and the new secretary. So that's that will actually, happen.
July.
So would it be July? It's 30 days
30
because
days.
it's 14 days voter certification. It might be August before we can actually hold that. So you will be elected precinct committeeman in June, certified at the end of June or early July, and then our convention has to be held 30 days after the certification. Exactly. So be prepared for that. If you're planning anything for the summer of next year, I'm giving you a heads up now. If you want to see change, you have to be involved. What else is up in this convention cycle then? State Central Committee positions. So if you haven't been happy with what is happening at the state level, it is an opportunity for Republican precinct committeemen to use their weighted vote to vote for people to be on the State Central Committee. Ooh, that quiet in here. Everybody's paying attention. Yes, that happens at the same convention after the new chair and new secretary is elected. Only elected precinct committee people can vote for this, the chair and the secretary. We need to work on bylaws to see if we will have any appointments that night, but typically we've actually changed it. If Ed is still on here, he is. He's awake.
He's in his recliner.
I won't disturb him. But typically we will then hold those filled seats and hold the vote for those state central committee people. So don't be surprised or shocked when you start seeing people calling you or knocking on your door, sending you a letter, sometime probably in April or May when they figure out that, oh, I'm up. And a couple of them in our positions are they're actually out because they're term limited now on how long they can be in here. So we will have several seats up in this election cycle. We've got 6 congressional districts right now, according to the new map, and still on the federal side has not been passed yet. It hasn't been passed yet on the federal side, but we can still end up, it still look like 5 to 6 congressional seats that are run through Will County that we would be able to vote on for those state central committee people in Will County. Another thing that's important is the weighted vote. The weighted vote is how many people voted Republican in the primary. We have to make the contacts now to make sure people are pulling a Republican ballot. In Joliet, in places like University Park, we gotta push the effort to make sure people are getting a Republican ballot. There are nightmare stories out there where they are telling them that we ran out of Republican ballots, we weren't issued Republican ballots, and therefore the people are not casting a vote. We have to push this to get people to pull a Republican ballot and get those weighted votes up. And that matters to that precinct committee member when they're voting for the person on state senate committee.
But what is the idea tonight?
Talking about the mask mandates, talking about our kids back in school, because all of this is still going to be with us because the school year will be just kicking off, or the summer will be coming around, for them. All of this will be very important. The taxes, Second Amendment. How many times a day? First Amendment, right? We need the second in order to protect the first. Defund the police. Yeah. These are the conversations that we can have with them. Yes, ma'am. Great point. Great point. Yeah, voter engagement. Yes.
Have a tough conversation.
Tough conversations. Yes, Julie.
You know, one thing I forgot to mention was House Bill 36. And that was the one that was big change for everything related to law enforcement, court system, and everything. And so because of that, our court, the state attorney's office in court, they're asking for $600,000 additional money because they have to look at all the different reporting and everything. The infrastructure that's set up is not correct. The speed that they'll need. That's just one part. And we've been doing really good. The county and having all our sheriffs and state body, we're not really behind there. That's just a part of a couple of unfunded mandates that will come forward on. I think at the point, the meeting mentioned, well, how to try to get the board to be opposed to that. Of course, that we're not. But I remind them that the House bill is part of House bill, part of the unfunded House. So I think one part coming along as.
Again, it's
That
unfunded.
was one of the things that was.
If that's bill, if somebody's trespassing on your property, let's say they show up in time, they don't have to leave it before somebody leaves, you could be around. It's really restricted the officer. Standard thing.
No doubt. Any other questions or comments about this? This is important. Now's the time. Yes, Justin. Good point. Gentlemen, if those who didn't hear, this is going to affect your property taxes, increasing on your property taxes because as they pull money out from streets and sand, parks and recs, in order to fund a lot of these initiatives, and you have to hold on to these recordings for 5 years. 5 years. Now, I don't know if anybody ever thought in some of these departments that are working 10 and 12-hour shifts, we used to work 12-hour shifts. That camera has to be on the entire time. So that's 12 hours per officer per day that they work. Plus the squad car. Batteries that you have to go through in storage. A server. Anybody ever purchased a server before? Build a server? You have to maintain all of this stuff on a server. We've got to get people elected into this round, into our general assembly. So getting folks to vote for state reps and state senators that will change this. That is a conversation for those that are talking about running for state rep and state senate. Changing HB 3653 so it doesn't cost you. I tell folks all the time on my side of town, we may as well be living in a trailer community because we will never own the land that our house is sitting on because of property taxes. You are a renter in your own home.
Yep.
Mr. Assessor.
I'm Joe Brown, assessor. And for candidates, prospective candidates out there next year, you need to be wary talking about property taxes. All taxing bodies can adjust their budgets by what's called the consumer price index. That's what brings up the value. Consumer price index is based on, gas, what a board costs at Home Depot, what a loaf of bread costs. Right now, they're estimating 4 to 4.5%, which means that your property tax bill, through no fault of your assessor, through no fault of your valuation, is going to jump 4.5% 1 year. So if you're a candidate, you're running, or if you're thinking about running, you're talking about what issues are your residents going to be concerned about next April when they get their tax bill. It's going to be up 4.5%.
Yes, ma'am.
So last year at the force, so if you're elected official county board member, you're automatically.
Thanks, Jeff.
And our chief executive financial officer brought this budget forward that all the Democrats put forward. It was full CPI and new construction. And I said, we've never done that for us, remember. So why are we doing that? His comment was, hey, there's money here, but he said, I asked that question, I said, why are we using it? We've never done it before. And he said, well, because the results indicate that next year, this year, there'll be zero inflation.
Yeah.
I said zero inflation, but I want to again, because I want them to understand this again and again. People who sit there and say zero inflation. Now, look what you're saying.
Well,
It goes up that high.
when you're talking about new construction, understand that a taxing body, when you're talking school district, a fire department, park district, each one of these taxing bodies at the end of the year says, I have a budget, and I can do one of three things. I can lower it, never do it. Save it, never do it. They can raise it, and the raise is limited by the CPI or 5% of law. Now, in addition to that, let's say you're in an area that builds up property, has a new shopping mall is built or one of these things. The theory is that if a new home is built, the school is not going to be required to have teachers, so they shouldn't take that on as new construction. That should be folded into the overall valuation so that helps relieve the tax. But unfortunately, our two major, 80% of your tax bill, which is fire and school, they continually pay the largest amount they can every year, and all new construction. So, believe it or not, when they're building a new medical facility here on Wolf Road, I've got phone calls every one of my school districts. But one thing is one of the tax bills, that they're going to take it on is it's like found money to them. It's not in the budget. You're like, here's another $40,000 that you're going to get. And oh, by the way, here's all the salesmen that are coming in at the end of the budget year that they're going to sell you their new goods.
Joe, Scott, can you hold on, Scott? Juan had a question. Just
residential and commercial. Because what you brought up makes sense, but if you can go the next step and say, listen, we have so much commercial going on, next year, don't count that against residential.
Commercial, residential, and anywhere other than Cook County, it's all the same. They're all valued the same, they're all the same value, you know. The way it works is when you look at your tax bill and you see the tax rate, everybody gets so upset at the tax rate. The reality is the tax rate is just the number to make one big number equal the other big number. You have the levy of what the taxing body wants, and then you have the number that I'm responsible for, which is the total assessed valuation. So that's the overall valuation of everything. Now let's say that we're in a down market, or all of a sudden the market drops, and everybody's value drops. If the levy stays the same or goes up, what happens is the tax rate is increased to cover it. Or if let's say that I walked in tomorrow and said, you know what, I've got everybody, double everybody's assessment. What happens is the tax rate gets cut in half. Assessment and rate just equal the true village, which is the levy, on how much all of this happens. So when you see your gubernatorial people, we're going to freeze rate, or we're going to freeze, no, you got to freeze the levy. You have to cut the amount of money you're spending to make anything work. Did that answer your question as far as
Yeah,
okay. So commercial and industrial and residential are all lumped into this valuation.
can't be separated.
I mean, so now you're talking legislative and how we actually legislate taxation. But the reality is that you need to look to other states on how they fund schooling. I mean, in Illinois, our state government it's washed their hands. Our communities, which used to receive money from the state, don't, because they title us influency. Then they kept lowering the influency level down so that now we're 100% based on property taxes. And then we put referendums through. And every time you see the word referendum, it's literally a word saying, listen, we want to bypass the CPI and get more money. And they were dumb, they weren't as intelligent in the past, and they used to actually put a fixed amount. And now those fixed amounts are coming due, but they're going to lose that money. So they come at you and they say, we would like you to re-vote that referendum, but it's not going to cost you any money. When actuality it is, because every year from this point forward, they're going to increase the CPI on top of it. So they're being disingenuous, they're passing referendums, and they're making their tax bills double in 12 years. They're living their tax bills double. Bring it over this. You all right?
Hi, Marty Rogers, I'm the village. Maybe I should have said what I have three Republicans on my board, just got elected on April 5th. Today, we have three Republicans. We're very watchful of what is going on. Your tax bill on JJC is not increasing to 4%. Counties are 13, more than 10, $15 total per year for that whole term of care. You have got to watch. Way Illinois is, and so you can back it up on this. That's why the issue is work. They already calculate how exactly it works. You have to look at the budget. The budget is what makes it. Yes, $70% of the work budget is on employees and employee benefits.
Right.
So when people say they're going to cut things, it's going to be cutting things.
Well, then you can't cut things, because most of the time, you have an employee that's so strong, they dictate what it is. Their future contracts are 6 or 7 years out. Even when you elect a school board that's going to come in there and cut, what are they going to cut? Maintenance. You're not going to complete the hallways at the end of the day, or you're not going to bus your students. The problem is that the employees, the governmental employee union has such a stranglehold on what goes on. They know what the CPI number is. fundraisers and the CPI never baked in it. Until we start throwing a backbone and saying, you know what, you're not going to get the CPI every year. Maybe your automatic COLA increase is 3% on your pensions that are drive us bankrupt is not a COLA increase, but a annuity. Sorry.
And I mean, we had, we have them, bigger than that's what they're looking for. Budgets are the big thing that all of these you go online, everything's posted on all the schools. I'm just saying that, because you need to watch how people are running for election, how they vote, their voting records.
It's not a secret that they go through and these budget hearings come through in November and December. And the last thing on your mind is politics. About Christmas, Thanksgiving. And it's not a secret that the tax bill comes out about 2 weeks after you get elected. That set that tax bill, school board, fire protection.
Because they're running some gas. It really doesn't really know what they're talking.
Right.
Because I get so many things. But I'm so sure. I am the previous one. It was that. 12 years on the North School. And the worst thing is, so they didn't stop. Get people out there that are
Thank you, Maureen. Great point. Great point.
one of the things that JJC does on the ground. And the last thing is, JJC will promote this program.
What about vaccination? What about vaccinations? What about vaccinations?
By law, we are not allowed to violate HEPA. So we cannot ask, we have to put the same sign you're seeing on every single one you go in. You have to tell the person where I'm at. We're forced to do it. As a violation, people say, same thing that you see on school work times and everything. If you want to enter, and not require, just get up to state court and take you back to the and we get it. All of these things are not required there. But just so you know, because ISU started further,
Wait a minute, R?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are actually coming on an hour and 45 minutes. I was trying to get us out of here at 8:30, so. You're bad.
Too much fun.
It's late now. Yeah. Anything else that we need to cover? Whole business? Yeah, there's some food left out there. Please eat it or take it home with you. Gatos, if you would, please leave a tip for the service. I got to clean up this room and out there. I would greatly appreciate it. I really greatly appreciate it. And let Frank Gatto know that you appreciate him being able to give us this facility. All right? With that, I will entertain a motion for adjournment. Ben, second by Scott. Ben Beerley, Scott. Scott,